Okay, so disclaimer time. Obviously, everybody has an opinion. You're entitled to your own, but these are some that I hold that probably won't be very popular with other viewers of my channel. I do realize that this may piss off some people, but I'm entitled to my own opinion and I'm allowed to share it. So if you disagree, too bad. This is just what I personally feel, and if it offends you, I'm real sorry. Hello everyone! As you can tell from the title of this video, this is going to be an unpopular opinions rant of sorts. This is something I've wanted to do for a bit, but I wasn't really sure if it was the right time for it. But with a lot of newer ideas and people coming onto the channel, I thought now was a really appropriate time to do a video like this, telling you what some of my more unpopular opinions are. You may not agree. In fact, you might violently disagree, and that's okay. The great thing about opinions is everyone is entitled to their own. So if you disagree with me, that's totally fine. I will not take offense to it. It is understandable. We all have our own way of thinking. Mine might be different from yours. But these are some opinions that I hold personally that you might be interested to know about. So let's get into some of those. It'll be my fault. Okay, so furry conventions that have 18 plus or not safe for work art or panels or content that is featured as part of the roster. I personally feel that if a furry convention has 18 plus content in it, it should be an 18 plus con. I don't know if this is always the case at every convention, but it's my understanding and my personal feeling that if you're going to feature 18 plus art rooms and 18 plus panels and you have 18 plus activities that are okay and welcome at the convention, that the convention should only be for 18 and up. This being that it's really, really easy for someone who's underage to become exposed to something that may not be appropriate for their eyes. Now, whether they wander into a panel or they wander into one of the 18 plus art rooms, or if it's one of those cons where, certain panels that are not safe for work tend to crop up, if they accidentally wander into the wrong hotel room, they could expose themselves to some very interesting content that is probably not safe for their eyes. What am I talking about? Well, if you're going to a convention where 18 plus is, very welcomed, and say they have a panel on puppy gear or BDSM, that's not really something you want an 18-year-old or an under 18-year-old to be exposed to, because that's not something that they should really be seeing at that age. I understand that a lot of us, myself included, were exposed at a young age to some of those darker things. I don't think that's okay. At a convention space, you should be viewing things that are appropriate for your age group. So if someone runs out of their room in latex or BDSM gear or puppy gear, or I don't know, they come fresh from a round of inappropriate behavior and there are stains on either their shirt or their suit, I don't think that's appropriate for younger viewers. And as a result, if that kind of stuff happens at a con where, that kind of behavior is okay and normalized, I don't think someone who's under the age of 18 should be seeing that. Because it's my strong feeling that if law prohibits you from seeing pornographic or otherwise adult material before the age of 18, you should not be able to expose yourself to it. So, just my 2 cents, I really, really, really don't think cons that have that kind of content on their roster or openly allowed should let people who are under the age of 18 attend. Sorry, that's just my opinion. We've carried lies all our lives. Okay, so commissions and deadlines. I have a personal bone to pick with this one. I personally think that if you are doing a commission-based system, it is completely understandable that someone would want something within a certain amount of time. Now, I can understand if maybe some of your clientele is more lenient and doesn't really mind waiting for a while, but if someone has in mind that they want a certain item by a certain convention, you are obligated to tell them upfront if you cannot make that deadline. Additionally, I do think not taking deadlines is kind of a miss. As someone who helps a small business that does run on a lot of deadlines, and a lot of the deadlines tend to coincide with major EDM events, it's a big miss if you can't guarantee something by a certain deadline, because you miss out on people who might be willing to pay a little extra to get it faster, or who can debut your work at that event and get you overall more exposure, which leads to more commissions, which leads to more money. Now, I understand the gripe that happens in the furry community with people expecting things ahead of schedule, faster than you'd anticipated, or otherwise being very demanding. It happens in every industry. You're not alone. However, not taking deadlines is a bit of a worry to me, because it tells me that, there must be some reason there that you're not willing to commit to an end date. As someone who's putting down their money and expecting a product in return, having a date in mind that I can expect to see it is very comforting and makes me feel more comfortable about giving you my money, and knowing it's not going to something other than, what I paid you for. I do understand a lot of fursuit makers, artists, other types of commissioners that accept payment are supporting themselves with their medium of choice. However, as a customer, when you're putting down money, you're investing in the product that you're thinking that you're going to get. So if your understanding is that your product will arrive in a certain amount of time and it doesn't, that does cause a bit of worry. Additionally, when you've, kind of made it clear to the person you commissioned that you would like it by a certain time for certain reasons, say I ordered something for EDC Vegas and I expect it to arrive by EDC Vegas, the understanding is I'd probably need it by EDC Vegas because I bought it for the purpose of EDC Vegas, if you know what I mean. Sometimes with fursuits this isn't exactly the case, but if you're in a special situation where you need the suit in time to do a specific panel or convention activity, say you want to do the dance competition, and you ordered fursuit feet, and you need fursuit feet in order to compete in the dance comp, it is kind of imperative that the person you're working with understand why you need it by that time. And if they aren't able to deliver by that time, it is imperative that they tell you that they can't deliver by that time. Because what ends up happening is if you have the expectation that something is coming at a certain time and they don't deliver on it, it is very worrying to the customer, and it kind of screws with their plans because, they had anticipated it would come by a certain time, it didn't, and now they're going to want to understand why, and the more delays that occur, the more worried they're going to be, because it does appear to the customer that, either you're not taking their order seriously, or something is wrong, or there's something that they don't know about, or that you don't know about, that you're just like, oh, okay, well, what happened? We are a community that's very prone to scams and, stuff getting stolen and the like. So when things don't arrive on time, it's really stressful for commissioners, because there have been a lot of reports of people scamming others out of their money, not delivering on time, or needing to force refunds because nothing ever arrives. So my advice to anyone who is either not taking deadlines or, doesn't really believe in deadlines, you should put some salt in deadlines, because it does help to establish, credibility. And when people can expect a certain item for you in a certain amount of time, it is more reassuring and makes them more likely to commission you in the future. Additionally, if you don't think you can get a certain amount of work done in a certain time, upping your prices and reducing the amount of work you take on can help to alleviate some of that. Now, if you're lesser known, that is a lot harder. But if you are making yourself very reliable in the way that you're always delivering on a certain time with a certain amount of quality expected, and really meeting deadlines adequately, that kind of opens the door for you to be able to get more of that recognition, take more of those commissions, and meet more of those deadlines more accurately. Look me in the eye. Okay, so how we deal with infighting in the community. Now, this is something I've touched on quite a bit. I personally don't think the Beware system works very well. I do enjoy reading them. Sometimes they're really funny. But I don't think it actually works. I think the way we go about it is just very mean-spirited, not very effective, and is more driven towards keeping one's reputation in check rather than actually addressing issues. We tend to want to screenshot and paint everybody as a terrible person and paint ourselves as the victim and cry for help at every turn. And I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. But sometimes bewares just aren't effective at all. It just pisses off people, starts big fights among other groups, and it's just not effective really at all. The reason why I haven't done a lot of bewares is because I don't see them doing anything. I've done one beware. What happened? Nothing. Nothing happened. Honestly, I think the way we do some of the infighting here, where we basically just attack each other on Twitter or do bewares or write massive live journal posts or write massive fur finish, it's just not effective, dude. It could be done so much better, and yet the way it's done now just really isn't. People getting angry that people have done forced PayPal chargebacks in certain situations. Look, dude, I get it, but posting a massive beware about how your stuff didn't come out right and not getting messages back because they're personally offended that you wrote the beware, yeah, it's not going to do anything. And if you feel like your money was stolen, yeah, maybe a forced PayPal, it does seem more effective at the time, considering most bewares just turn into a conga line of comments that really don't do anything. It doesn't solve anything, and it just doesn't do much, to be honest. We could handle infighting so much better. Rather than doing bewares, just find a more effective system. Do I know what it is? No. But at some point we'll figure out how to deal with it more effectively. Maybe by just talking to each other. Who knows?
I trust you, I trust you, I trust you, I trust you.
Younger furries. I did a video on it and it got some mixed reactions. I think every fifth comment was, I'm 12, or I'm 13, or I'm 10. I'm like, okay, I get it. Some people got really, really offended by this. And to the same point of why I think cons with 18 plus content should only be for 18 plus attendees, I honestly feel like a lot of the younger furries today have a bit of growing up to do. There's a lot out there that are mature, have their wits about them, and are really, really great in the community, but there's also a lot of growing up that needs to be done by some of the younger members of the community. Yes, you might be able to name more obscure custom characters than I can. Yes, you might know more famous furry YouTubers than I do. Yes, you might have like a couple more years in the fandom than I do, but what I'm really touching on here is your specific age itself. If you're under the age of 18, you're still developing, you're still young, you might be really emotional, you might still be in school, you might still be trying to figure out what you are, who you are, what you identify with, what you believe in. You're young. That's okay. But because you're young, some of you do tend to be more emotional, and that's also okay. Except just please be understanding when someone who is older does get a bit frustrated, because you can be very spontaneous. That's what happens when you're young. If you're commissioning someone and you change your mind like 6 times because you can't decide what character, take a minute, slow down, think about what you really, really want, and just take the 5 minutes to like actually collect your thoughts and speak to your maker. If you're having an argument with an older fur and your first reaction is, oh my god, you just want this fandom to be just for you, no, stop. Stop. Being highly emotional, especially on social media, which broadcasts to pretty much everyone in the entire world, is not smart. If you're really offended and something really upsets you and it really makes you mad and you just want to scream it out to the world, just take 5 minutes, breathe, and think about it. I realize that a lot of people talk about younger furries with a tone of disdain. I don't hate younger furries. I don't. I don't like the way everyone just thinks that they are the worst thing about the fandom. They are not. That would be our news coverage. That's the worst thing in the fandom. But I do think there's a bit of growing up to be done by the younger members of the community, which would really help us all grow on the whole. And it's not solely their fault. Older furries, if you see a younger fur going down the path of destruction on social media, guide them. That is the best way to help a younger furry who is maybe not acting appropriately learn to curb their actions and really change their behavior. Rather than talking about them like they're the spawn of Satan, which admittedly some are, not all, just talk. Talk, educate, mentor, help them grow up. Because having good role models is the only way they're really going to shape their behavior and become better members of the community. And instead of just discussing them like they're trash, which they're not, we all are, technically, talk about them like they are, a great new addition to the community that maybe needs a bit of mentoring, admittedly, maybe a bit. But they are not absolutely the worst thing on earth. They're not the spawn of Satan, not all of them. And just talk about them like they're people, because that is what they are. And just because they're younger than you does not mean you need to talk down to them. But mentorship and really helping them forge those meaningful relationships and really learn that code of contact and understand the history of the community, that is what will help them grow into amazing members of the community. That's it.
You can see that I love you, I love you, I love you.
Okay, so those are my unpopular opinions. Sorry, but I felt like I had to get them out there. It was high time I let them out of the bag, and there you go. Feel free to leave down in the comments what some of your unpopular opinions are. Try to keep them PG, please. I do have younger people who do follow my channel. But as always, your support is very, very much appreciated. I hope you guys have a lovely day. Bye!